Hi, I'm Stephanie Toman, and I'm doing some videos for the advanced spreadsheets for ICDL. And this one's going to cover the weekly revision following the videos that I did on the week 4 lectures that demonstrated the syllabus. So this is your practice area, weekly revision practice, week 4. And we'll just have a look and see what that means. It means that we're going to be covering questions with regards to sorting, lists and pivot tables, and therefore we're covering the questions 20 to 28. So let's look at the paper. The paper we need is the Advanced Spreadsheets Weekly Revision, if you've not used it before. There have been a couple of videos created for the first 2 weeks, 2 and 3. And then we're going to start this series of videos with week 4. And like I said, questions 20 to 28. The files you need, as before, if you've done it before, if not, you need to make sure that you've got the Spreadsheets weekly revision work files so that they work with the paper. Otherwise, you won't find what you're looking for, or it won't work. So make sure you're using those ones and not the pre-online ones or the manual ones. So they are particular. So if we look at the first question that we're going to do, question 20, we're in the revision workbook. A lot goes on in that. And we're going to the car data worksheet and doing a simultaneous sort with the data descending order by make, model, and then sort price from the most expensive to the cheapest. Okay, so let's go into our revision workbook. And we're going to find the car data worksheet. And there it is. Okay, so we click in the data. Remember, we're going to go to our sort. And we're going to go to custom sort because that way we can do these multiple areas. All right, you can see that it's come up with column F. If I tick my data has headings, then it's still not working. So that suggests that I could either carry on and do what I'm doing, or I could cancel this and I can make sure that I do highlight all of the data. So different things can happen. Sometimes you click in data, it doesn't always do what you want. This way, I can see the headings. If that's on. If it's off, I wouldn't, but it's because I've highlighted the exact data, including the headings. So the first thing we're going to do a sort on is the make, pretty much like we did in the demonstration. And that's going to be descending, add a level, and we're going to do it by model. That's also descending. And the final one, we're going to do it by price, which is a numerical field, and it wants it by the largest to smallest. Okay, if we OK, you can see the data's changed quite a lot. Looks like it's worked to a certain extent. And pretty straightforward. We're going to move on now to the next question, and we need to go to the date worksheet. So let's have a look at the question. Question 21. In the date worksheet, perform a custom sort on the cell range A2 to B30 by date in calendar order Jan, Feb, March, etc. So I'm going to remember it's a custom sort, not just a sort. So let's click in here in the data and we're going to the sort and custom sort. So the area that we are custom sorting is the date. So I'll make sure I've got my date here. And it wants us to go into the custom list. And I'm looking for a Jan, Feb, and there's one there. So it looks like I've got it set up, ready to go. That's good. If I OK, and then I OK again, it's definitely there. Definitely got the right header. And then it's done it. If you scroll down, it's done it automatically. So that's question 21. Company invoice next. Let's see what we need to do with this one. Let's look at the question. So question 22. On the company invoice worksheet, filter the cell range A1 to G10 so that only the company Smith & Co are visible. And then the next part is to select the cell range C14 to C22 and create a custom number format that displays the text IV hyphen in front of the specified range. Okay, so let's do the first one. So we've got the company invoice worksheet here, and A1 is A1 to G10. That's the data range there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to click on here, take all of those off, Smith & Co on, OK, and we're just filtering so that they're the only ones that are visible. With regard to the data range here, it selects data range C14 to C22, this one here. And remember this, a little time ago, we had this format cells. We went into custom numbering, so we're on the numbering and into custom. And across the general, we typed in this case, IV hyphen, followed by a 0, because they're all whole numbers that are in the data range. But remember, in order to make it work, we have to wrap the IV and the hyphen as they are letters, characters, or something that isn't data, basically, so that it accepts it in the cell alongside the number. So we're okay then, it's worked, happy days. So now we can move on to the next question. So back to our paper. And question 23 is to do with lists. So in section 12, we've got the area of lists that we're going to look at. And this one, it's asking us to use the SIC worksheet, apply an advanced filter on the cell range A7 to D30. So only the administration department in which the staff absent was more than 2 days is visible. So the staff that were absent more than 2 days is visible. Ensure the records that meet these criteria are copied into another location starting at A33. So into the SIC. If I'm going to use an advanced filter, which I'm suggesting it probably is, I'm going to copy the headings and place them up here. Escape, so that hash comes off. I've got my range of criteria, so it's administration is the department, and the staff absence, that's more than, so more than 2. So I'll click in my data tab, advanced filter. And I sort of know it's an advanced filter because it's also asking me to extract the information somewhere else. So that's one of the features of advanced filters. So the criteria is here. We've already picked up our data in the first one. I'm going to copy it to D33. I'm going to OK. And then what should happen is it filters everything above 2 with regard to absence for the administration department. Okay, so that wasn't too difficult. Sounds a lot more than it is. It's just keeping your head and doing things methodically. We're on the personnel sheet next. And I'm just going to go to the paper and let's have a look and see what we need to do here. So question 24. This worksheet, personnel worksheet, use a menu command to subtotal by average the staff age after each change in department in the cell range D2 to D20. So menu command, subtotal, that gives me a hint of what I'm doing. So I'm going to click in my data. On my data tab, I know I've got a subtotal feature. I know it does things by functions and stuff. So I just follow the information. Each change is by department. The function is going to be an average. and its age already ticked. So I'm going to OK, and it's done what I thought it should do. So we're on question 25. We're going to be using the subtotal worksheet. Let's have a look at the question. So on the subtotal worksheet, expand the subtotal data so the age, average and max grand totals and subtotals are all displayed. So minimize that, go to the 3, drop that down, and there you go, done. If you're not sure, you can click along until you find the one before you hit answer, and that's absolutely fine. So that takes us now to the survey results, and we're going to have a look back at the question. So we're now on the section 13 of pivot tables, and question 26 is asking us to use the survey results worksheet, create a pivot table with the data range in there, and create the pivot table starting at K5 to show the town as row labels, sex as column labels, reply field as report field, and the age data to average. And then we'll have a look at this second part. So let's do the first part first. So the first thing to do is click in the data. Remember your pivot table is in the Insert tab and it's just there. We've got the correct data. I know it ends at 225 because I read it on the question. We're going to pop it into the existing worksheet and it wants it in K5, which we can just type in. And there we go. So we've got to follow the instructions, which is row town in the row label and the sex column, sex field in the column, and reply field is going into the report filter. And then the last thing is the age, which goes into the values. And we need to make sure going into the value field settings that we change that to average. Okay, that's that bit done. The second part of the question. Continuing with this worksheet, the survey results, change the data entry in F6 from Newcastle to Durham and make sure that the chart, pivot table chart, if you like, or table reflects it. So F6 is there. I'm going to copy Durham. I'm going to paste on Newcastle. Make my life easier. Escape. And then I'm going to right click on the pivot table, not on the data. And I'm going to refresh. And it just did a quick change there. So that's that one done. The next question is going to be using the pivot table sheet. So I'm just going to scroll up, see what we've got. And let's go to the question and see what it's asking us to do. So we've got a pivot table worksheet where a pivot table starting at G5, it wants us to sort the age in ascending order. Let's do these one at a time. So the age in here is going to be sorted into ascending order. That's done. And back to the question. The next pivot table we're working on starts at G8. And we've got to show the sex field along the rows and the town in the filter field. So let's do that one. So this table here, it wants the town in there and the sex field in there. And we've done that. So the final part on the G28, check the question just to make sure. Filter the pivot table begin at G28 so that Bristol and Washington details do not display. So we'll drop that down there. Take out Washington's at the end and Bristol there and OK. So notice how it's got me doing different things to different pivot tables. So they do this in the exam. So make sure when you do this that you do those correctly and on the right pivot table. Very important. The final question, 28, is on the pivot worksheet, manually group South Shields, Tynemouth, and rename that group as Region C. So the pivot table here, let's just drop these down so you can data fields. Now click on Cell Shields, Control, click on Timers, right click, Group, and then call that group Region C and enter. So that's all of those questions ending at 28. So that's all the questions ending for week 4, questions 20 to 28. So now we're doing the next series that's coming up with regard to the lectures, and it's going to be section 5, which is functions. Okay, so you may join me on functions, and I'll follow that up with a weekly revision demonstration exercise as well. So hopefully see you there. Thank you.